Hi everyone, welcome back to Attack of the Grey Pile. Today we're wrapping things up on this diorama of an Outrider ambushing a Winged Tyranid Prime. If you haven't seen part 1, please consider giving that a watch. Check out the link popping up now and then come back to check this video out after. Without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, first thing I want to do is declutter the base. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the Winged Tyranid Prime. Now that the Tyranid is out of the way, I can continue to focus on the Outrider and the bike. The first thing I want to do is I want to highlight the ammunition chutes. I'm going to be using the same bright gray I was using for the edge highlight. And then once that's completed, I'm going to get back to edge highlighting. Trying to add a little bit more realism with this edge highlight by picking out specifically places that would have been worn down more than others. For the bolters, I'm going to paint those red, as that's how I've got most of the weapons painted for my Black Templar army. This will help to make the model look more tied in with the rest of the force. Now that the gray on the ammo chutes has had time to dry, I'm going to apply a very bright silver to some of the higher edges of the chutes. I want to try and pick those out and make it look like paint chipping, and when I'm done with that, I'll pick out the headlights and then I'll start painting on the exhaust heat shields.
You will ride eternal, shiny and chrome.
If you like what you're seeing, how about consider dropping a like, a comment, subscribing, or visiting my YouTube channel page where you can see posts and can join my Discord server. It's absolutely free and gives you the opportunity to connect with me and other model builders. We talk games, post memes and project photos. It's just all around good time. This next step I'm going to start weathering. For this I'm going to be using an open cell foam. You can buy these brushes from most of your hobby shops and even Walmart, Target. They carry these in like the arts and crafts section. I like to take a small little piece of it and then clip it into a set of like surgical forceps. Then I'll dip it in the paint and then dry that off onto a paper towel until I'm getting just the slightest bit of paint transfer. This helps to give a realistic appearance of paint chipping. As you can see, I'm not afraid to get this on the decal. The idea is to try and tie all of it together. It would look really weird if the bike is all worn down, but the cross on it is like minty fresh. It just wouldn't look right. It would stand out too much. Here I noticed that the arm didn't have any edge highlighting, so I'm going back and touching up those details now, and then I'll continue to touch up details on the rest of the rider and start adding scratches to the bike. So for these scratches, I'm trying to keep them horizontal, trying to go from the front of the bike to the back of the bike. Now, realistically, there could have been an opportunity for a scratch to go vertical, but I'm trying to sell the idea that he drove into something, or bashed into something, or something scraped down the side of the bike. That's why I'm doing mostly horizontal stripes from front to back.
Hey, you scratched my ankle!
For the dash of the bike, I really want to try and tap into the 1980s futuristic design. For example, this Volvo Tundra concept. I really like how it has that graphic design, and it will really tie the bike together. To do this, I am applying a very bright gray, and then I'm applying brighter white on top of that to create the grid lines. Later, I'll hit it with contrast paints to give it that glowing effect so that then the grid lines are brighter over that very bright gray background. For the shoulder pauldrons, I am applying the Black Templars Maltese crosses, one in standard white and one in red. The red signifies that he is a member of the Sword Brethren, helping to explain the presence of the power sword rather than a ranged weapon. For the muzzles of the bolters, I am applying a gunmetal to sell the effect that they have been used over several decades. To weather the model, I'll be applying Agrag's Earthshade. All the wear that we have applied so far is in stark contrast to the base paint of the model. The Agrag's Earthshade will tie everything together and make it all look as though it came from the same war-torn environment. Final thing I'm doing to the bike before moving to the Tyranid is putting a bottle of paint under the front wheel as the bike has collapsed over the period of time that I've been working on it. For the Tyranid, it's in dire need of a touch-up. This was actually one of the first Tyranids I had ever painted, and finally settled on the Kronos Hive Fleet as being the primary color scheme I had wanted. And in all honesty, I didn't know exactly how I wanted the Kronos Hive Fleet to look, but we're going to touch this one up a bit.
I look like hell. I got bags under my eyes.
First thing I'm doing is applying a fresh coat of black with the airbrush. I'm being very careful as to not spill over onto the red carapace, as the red carapace actually doesn't look that bad, all things considered. Now for a fresh coat of dry brushing, I will be applying a light gray to draw out the raised details on the model. This will create more depth on the model and make it look more realistic. With the skin tone done, now I can go ahead and just touch up the edge highlighting on the carapace just a little bit, again by dry brushing a bright red on the edge of the carapace. This will add that depth that I want. This is actually one of the first Tyranids I had ever painted, so I need to update it so that it matches the rest of my Tyranids that I've painted since then. To do this, I'll be applying a base coat of white to the tongue, the eyes, and then all the flesh tears on the skin. After that, I'll be highlighting those points with Croxagore scales.
How long is this going to take?
While the white paint is drying, I'm going to go back and touch up some of the spots of the skin that have color spillage of white or red from the carapace. To do this, I'm just going to apply some black and put it on in a very thin coat so that it's a gradual correction. Tyranid now donning a fresh coat of paint, we can move on ahead to basing. As a last minute touch for the bike, I'm applying some sprue goo to the front of the rear wheel, as I noticed that when I put the bottle under the front wheel, it caused the sprue goo to stretch a little bit. The addition of more sprue goo will help add a strong foundation for the bike to sit on. The bike finally stabilized, I can test fit the pieces. The tail, unfortunately, is not exactly fitting quite right, so I have to bend it a little bit. Now that I've got the bend right and the posture identified, I can do the finishing touches on the Space Marine. For the base, I'm going to be applying copious amounts of Valhallan Blizzard. The previous owner applied a mud coat to this, and it's okay. Usually I tend to remove previous base coats, but this will tie in and add some realism, as it'll add the dirt to the sub-layer, just in case I don't have total coverage with Valhallan Blizzard. Now for the snow effect, I want to have it clumpy in some spots. As most of us know, as soon as you touch snow, it deforms, it crumbles, it doesn't hold its shape. Now, I want to try and capture that in miniature form. I'm also going to apply this to the model to help show that it's actually part of the environment and part of the terrain, because it doesn't really help to have a crystal clean bike or like a dirty bike with no snow when you're in a snow environment. Many people from the north can attest to this. Like, no matter what you're doing, if it's snowing outside, there's going to be snow on whatever it is you're using. As for the Tyranid, I'm going to apply snow later. Right now, I'm more worried about trying to get it to fit just right, and I don't want to be touching it with a boatload of the snow texture on it, because that stuff tends to crumble off. Or worse, if it's still wet, I can drag it across, and the granules in it could possibly scratch some of the fresh paint that I put on the model. For the Tyranid, you can see that I changed from the spatula to a broad, flat brush, as I don't want to be dragging a metallic spatula across the Tyranid. It also would pack the snow funny, whereas I want to try and have the snow sitting almost like loose on it. Give it that appearance that it just freshly fell on the Tyranid. For the rim of the base, I'm going to go ahead and drag the back side of my hobby knife to clean up the surface and make sure it's smooth, and then I'll apply my typical light gray with a very light touch of blue in it. That will tie it all together and matches the color palette very nicely. If you made it this far, type "I survived" in the comments so you can show that you made it to the end. I'm very happy that you joined me today to finish off this project. It was a fun challenge, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you what other projects I have planned for the channel. I truly appreciate you all for the support. Now I'll do my best to share with you some more hobby projects. Stay safe, y'all. Until next time, later.